Instant match reaction, Everton 0, Manchester United 2 at Goodison Park. Carlo Ancelotti's Everton crash out of the Carabao Cup at the quarter-final stage due to 2 late goals from Manchester United. Not good enough today, just not good enough whatsoever. The first 25-30 minutes was absolutely woeful. It was like a completely different side to the one that we've seen over the last few games or so. There was little organisation, we were just getting overrun, and Manchester United started strong, they started confident, and you expected that because they started like that against Leeds and they won the game within 5 minutes, so you'd expected them to come out firing, and they still played a strong team. I mean, the media will tell you that they played a weakened team, but they still had some of the most creative players on the pitch, and they got at us straight away, and we just couldn't deal with that. We settled the game down in the sort of after the 25-30 minute mark, and we started to create a couple of chances of our own. We started to calm down and actually look relatively confident on the ball. I mean, before that, Olsen was making stupid mistakes and nearly costing goals. Michael Keane made a couple, which is very, very rare. The defence just looked shambolic, really. But then, like I said, we settled it down, and as soon as we settled it down, Manchester United just got dirty, and they just do what Manchester United do, and that's kick people and lash players into other players and start grabbing players by the throat, because they know they get away with it, because the referees in this league and in this country haven't got the bollocks to do anything about it. And look, I'm not making any excuses tonight. Everton were awful. We were very, very, very poor. It was night and day from the performances that we've seen over the last couple of games or so. And I think the reality of Everton this season is that we have got a good starting 11. We've got a good team, and we've seen that at the start of the season when we had, Mina, Keane, Coleman and Dean as the back line, and the front three was Hammers, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin. We've seen it was working well, and then we've seen it over the last couple of games when you move one or two players around, and you bring in Godfrey and Holgate at fullback. It works because we've got a good team. But the reality of Everton this season is the squad is dreadful. The squad is absolutely dreadful, and even when Everton change a couple of players around and still put out a strong team on paper, it's not a strong team. It's not good enough whatsoever. Andre Gomez had another stinker for me today. He was awful. He was just nowhere near the ball. I don't think he touched the ball in the first half an hour, and then every touch he had on the ball was just so slow. And I don't just want to scapegoat Andre Gomez because he wasn't the only one today, but again, we're looking at these games and playing multiple different games over a short period of time, and the teams that are at the upper end of the league and that are winning the trophies have got players that they can take out and players that they can bring in from the substitutes bench who make the same impact as the player that you're taking out. The simple fact of the matter is we have not got that. If we take somebody out of our starting 11, we're more than likely replacing them with somebody that's nowhere near good enough to be in that team. And okay, Gylfi Sigurdsson's done really well recently, and Alex Iwobi's done really well, and they've been working really hard, and I thought they were two of our better players today, to be honest with you. But there's still not enough output, there's still not enough creativity, there's still nothing that you sit back at the end of the game and you go, you know what, they won us that game there. There's no moment of magic, there's no winning moment, and ultimately it's better than it was months ago because we're seeing effort now and we're seeing a bit of fight, and that's why I won't dig Gylfi Sigurdsson or Alex Iwobi tonight, because I think they did both show effort and show fight. But ultimately, there's nothing there that is going to win you the game or going to grab you in a difficult sort of night, and that's what it was today. It was a difficult night. Like I said, Manchester United got away with absolutely everything. The referee is a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. It clearly runs in the family, the Madley family, that they cannot referee games of football. How Edison Cavani isn't sent off is beyond me. And this whole situation with VAR and VAR not being used in the Carabao Cup, what's the point? It makes a mockery of the competition. Scrap the competition or scrap VAR completely. What's the point in bringing in this system that, okay, is flawed and hasn't worked all of the time? But one thing it does do is it shows direct situations where players should be sent off. We've seen Arsenal have about 4 sending-offs where it's gone to VAR and players have grabbed players around the neck or lent their head in, red card situations. We've seen it work with offsides. Over the last 24 hours, we've seen Arsenal concede a goal which was about 3 mile offside yesterday, and we've seen Edison Cavani get away with grabbing Yerry Mina from the neck. So, and all as it is, there's no VAR today, so you can't really use that. What's the point? What's the point in playing the Carabao Cup? What's the point in having VAR at all if you're going to say it can be used in some competitions, it can't be used in others? Okay, the start of the cup, you might say, certain clubs in the lower leagues can't facilitate it. Fine, whatever. This was Manchester United versus Everton, two of the biggest clubs in Premier League history, two clubs that use VAR on a weekly basis. There was no excuse for it to not be used today, absolutely no excuse. And it's made a mockery of the cup, to be honest, and again, it's laughable. It's absolutely laughable because you've had a situation there where ultimately Edinson Cavani's won the game for Manchester United. I know it ended 2-0 and Martial scored in the last seconds, but Edinson Cavani's won the game for Manchester United there. Shouldn't be anywhere near the pitch. He grabs Yerry Mina by the throat. It's a clear sending off. Again, Bruno Fernandes gets away with one. Barges Richarlison, absolutely barges Richarlison into Eric Bailly, causing Richarlison to be concussed on the floor, spitting blood from the mouth, doesn't know where he is, wants to continue but doesn't know where he is to continue. How has he got away with throwing a player into another player's knee and he's walked away without a card? It's a blatant sending off. It's shocking, but again, it's no excuse. I don't want to sit here and have people go, oh, we just weren't good enough, don't be making excuses. I'm not making excuses. We were awful tonight. We were. Again, we had a spell where we looked comfortable on the ball and we were getting forward and we were creating opportunity, but the reality of the situation is we had 3, 4 or 5 chances there to really hurt Manchester United. Seamus Coleman has one in the second half where he runs down the line and he tries to pass it to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who's in a clear offside position. I don't know what he's doing. Dom had a couple where he gets the ball stuck under his feet. Gylfi Sigurdsson had a couple where he gets the ball stuck under his feet. And you can't afford to be wasting chances in games like this. You just can't afford it. There was about 6 chances in that game that you looked at and you thought, go on, make something of this. And we just never make anything of it whatsoever. And ultimately, that was always going to come back and bite us. It hasn't over the last couple of games because we have, we've been fairly clinical, we've scored the goals when we've needed to, but today, it's come back and bite us on the arse massively, and it was always going to come back and bite us on the arse. And like I said at the start of the video, you look at this Everton team, and I think this every single week, by the way, every week, whether we're playing well or not, every single time I see that team sheet an hour before kickoff, I think this best had work for this starting 11 here, because if it doesn't work for the starting 11, that bench is sickening, absolutely sickening. How many chances does Bernard have to get? He's useless. He doesn't do anything. I like the lad. He seems like a nice lad, and I know he's gone through issues and this, that and the other, but he doesn't do anything when he comes on the pitch. He is a passenger. Andre Gomez, again, a passenger today. Tom Davies come on, didn't do anything whatsoever. We have nobody that you look to that you think you can come on and change a game of football here. Manchester United brought on Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial. Now, Anthony Martial scored in the last couple of seconds of the game, and, Marcus Rashford done a little bit, but it's those types of substitutions, even if they don't have a direct impact on the game, the opposition look to the bench when they're 75, 80 minutes into a game, they're knackered, they've given everything, they're tired. They look to the opposition bench and they think, oh, bloody hell, here comes these two here, here comes a ball of energy. Manchester United would have looked at our bench today and gone, here's Cenk Tosun here, lads, that's another easy win wrapped up, he's not going to do anything. It's woeful. Our squad depth is absolutely woeful, and when we're playing well and the team is playing well, it's brilliant. The squad is not good enough whatsoever. We didn't have one player on that bench that I was confident could come on and change it. You might throw the Anthony Gordon shout about, and maybe Anthony Gordon should have been given a chance, but let's be honest, where's the solid proof that Anthony Gordon's going to come on and change a game? I like the lad, and I'm not going to go into him because he hasn't had this chance really, but where's the solid proof that he's going to come on and change a game? Bernard, too many chances, not good enough, get rid in January. Gomez, not good enough for this league, get rid. Davis, again, done okay against Chelsea, against Arsenal, but ultimately not good enough when he come on. Tosun, get rid, not good enough. Is 100% effort enough? That is the least we expect, 110% of effort, of work rate, of energy. That's what we expect, and when we win, we applaud the players. But you need more. You need creativity. You need that little bit of extra something. That game cried out for a James Rodriguez, who has got that extra something in his locker to change a game from out of nowhere. Today we had no one on the pitch that could do that. Like I said, for me it changed massively when Richarlison had to go off. Didn't have an amazing game, and he hasn't had an amazing game for a few weeks. But one thing with Richarlison is that he can change that at any moment. He can run into a player 4 or 5 times in a game and have the most frustrating game you've ever seen. but he can come up with the winning goal in the last 5 minutes because he's got that quality, he's got that ability, he's got that in him. Bruno Fernandes knew exactly what he was doing. He looked at Richarlison and he thought, he's their real danger man here. Okay, they've got Calvert-Lewin, but they're not getting any service into Calvert-Lewin, so he'll stay relatively quiet. Richarlison's the only player in this Everton team that can make something out of nothing. And he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew he was going to hurt him. He knew he was going to go off. He knew he was going to go down injured. And ultimately, he's been allowed to do that through dreadful, dreadful refereeing and VAR not existing. What's the point? Scrap the Carabao Cup or scrap VAR. What's the absolute point in not using it in one competition because the lower league clubs can't facilitate it? That's sound. There's no lower league clubs playing in the Carabao Cup at the moment. It's just so frustrating. Like I said, I have to talk about it because ultimately it's not an excuse as to the reason why we lost. The first 20 minutes had nothing to do with Madley or had nothing to do with Manchester United being dirty and horrible. It was to do with Everton not being good enough. And again, we got better. We got more into the game as the half went on. But again, we come out and although we give it 110% and it was a real dogfight, there was just nothing at the end of it. And, you know, ultimately when you've not got that creativity, when you've not got that spark to win a game of football, you're not going to win the game of football. And it's devastating. It's devastating. Again, in very similar fashion to the results against Manchester United in the Premier League a couple of weeks ago. We've lost with 2 late goals and it's 2-0, but ultimately the last goal was scored with the last kick of the game. And it was a dogfight. And like I said, Man United couldn't play their nice football. We didn't bend over like Leeds did. So they thought, you know what, we'll just kick these up the park. We'll grab them by the throat. We'll barge them into other players. They just made it dirty. And you might applaud that, and you might applaud Bruno Fernandes and say he's a brilliant footballer. I can't stand him. I cannot stand the fella. I loathe him. He is a horrible, horrible, horrible player. Now, people might say, that's great, get him in the team, that's what you want. But ultimately, he's deceived officials, and to be fair, he knew exactly what he was doing, and he's made the most of a dreadful referee and a system which isn't being used. But again, wasn't an excuse for why we didn't, you know, take any of our chances. It wasn't an excuse as to why Seamus Coleman's passing it to an offside Calvert-Lewin when he could have a go. It's not an excuse as to why Calvert-Lewin's getting the ball stuck under his feet, or why Bernard isn't making an impact, or why Iwobi's final ball still isn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough today, and ultimately, you know, we got what we deserved. But what can you do? Focus on the Premier League. It's shit that it's Christmas Eve tomorrow. It would have been a fantastic early Christmas present for all of us, but ultimately we have to go and bounce back now against the tough Sheffield United side, who will be, if James Rodriguez isn't back for that game, they'll be rubbing their hands together thinking we can nullify them because they haven't got much creativity. But yeah, there you go. Instant match reaction. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Leave the video a like if you want. Subscribe if you're new. Try and have a great Christmas. Don't let it get down on you too much. And yeah, play it until we up shortly. Cheers for watching. See you soon.